Hello, for today's problem, I need to solve integers x and y where 9x squared minus 4xy minus y is equal to 1. So this is a nonlinear Diophantine equation, and I'm going to solve this problem by using the factoring method. There are a bunch of different ways to solve nonlinear Diophantine equations. I'm going to show the factoring method. Basically, we want to factor this equation all the way down so that we can just have a list of like f1 of x to x f1 of x1 all the way up to xn will equal a1, and then so on and so forth. So we have like a list over here, and then we can just solve for each thing. It will be a lot more clear after I show you. Okay, so the first step I'm going to do, I'm actually going to explain at the end of the video. But I'm going to multiply by 16 to get this. Now you can see that you can factor all of this to get the 4x, 36x minus 16y. And notice how careful I'm being with my factoring, and I'm factoring certain things, grouping certain things together, not doing certain things that you would normally see people do. So now I'm going to try and get things into a more useful equation. So I'm going to add 36x minus 16y minus 16, and then I'm going to, right here, I'm going to subtract 36x. Again, this is also equal to 0. Okay, now I can factor this even more. This is all just basically a lot of intuition, and there's, as much as I don't like to say this, there's not too much logic that comes across with this. Okay, now here, this is the big boy step. Okay, so now here, this is what I was talking about. This is what we want to get it down to so that we can solve for different equations. So right here, since 7 is prime, we either have that this is 7 or this is 7, and then the other one has to be 1. Or you could have -7, -1, or -7, -1. So to write this out more formally, shoot, these are not looking too good. There we go. You could say 4x plus 1 is equal to plus minus 1. They also have 36x minus 16y minus 9 is plus minus 7. Now, that's the case where this is 1 and this is 7. But we also have the case where this is 7 and this is 1, in which case 4x plus 1 is plus minus 7, and 36x minus 16y minus 9 is plus minus 1. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to solve for x up here and then plug in to find a y. So I'm going to write my solution like this, and then I'm going to have some xy's in here. So first, let's consider this first case. 4x plus 1 equals plus minus 1. If it's positive 1, then we have 4x plus 1 equals 1, 4x equals 0, x equals 0. So if we have x equals 0, then we can get 0 minus 19y minus 9 equals plus minus 7. And again, this is just a lot of simple arithmetic. We'll realize that the only solution that works is -1 for y. And then we have to include this case over here. I'm just going to go ahead, give you a little sneak peek. But again, this is all just basic arithmetic. The answer will be minus 2, minus 5. So this right here, these are integer solutions. Note that these, a lot of the answers to these you would have like fractions and stuff, but that doesn't work because you have to solve integers for this equation. So these are going to be our only two answers. So now I need to go back to y at the very first step. I multiply by 16. Okay. So taking a look up here, I have 9x squared minus 1 is equal to y 4x plus 1. And that implies that y, just solving for y, divides 9x squared minus 1 over 4x plus 1. So this right here must be an integer because we're solving for y integers. That therefore means that 4x plus 1 divides 9x squared minus 1. Okay? And it's important to note that we know 4x plus 1 divides 16x squared minus 1, which means that when we need to have this in this form over here, and to do that we'll multiply by 16 because then these coefficients are the same and everything works out a-okay. So we have this equation in this form, but we know for sure that it's divisible because this is divisible since it's just this 4x squared times 4x plus 1 quantity, 4x minus 1. So basically, now we know 4x plus 1 divides 144x squared minus 9. And so, just to end this off, 144x minus 9 equals 1. Equals 16. 9x squared minus 1 plus 7. And so since we have this plus 7 over here after we've multiplied, that means that 4x plus 1 also divides 7. And that's what we had when we have over here, because we said that it divides 7. So if you just simply went through it this way, you wouldn't have had to deal with any of this mumbo jumbo. You would have just saw that it divides 7, then you would have started on this, but would have been a little easier to solve. Anyways, thank you much for watching, and goodbye.